and welcome to the Unsure to Unstoppable podcast. My name is James Dunn, and I was adopted. I grew up in a household with an alcoholic father, and I was arrested for attempted armed robbery when I was 17 years old. Why do I share that with you in this podcast introduction? Well, because while you may not have gone through any one of those specific set of circumstances yourself, you've had your own version of them, whether it's a loss of a job, a divorce, you were picked on as a kid. Something in your life has created this little voice in the back of your head that's made you doubt yourself, question yourself and what you're truly capable of. As a podcast host and as a mindset coach, what I do is I help you tell that little voice in the back of your head to shut the fuck up, get out of your own way, and move from unsure to unstoppable. And how I plan to do that is each week I'm going to bring you stories of inspiration, motivation, my own challenges, my own struggles, as well as those of others who've gone through challenging times, rough times, things that most people maybe just didn't think they could ever get through, but have not only gone through them, but come out thriving on the other side of them. And through the sharing of those stories, I hope to help you see that you're not alone in this journey called life. Whatever you've gone through, whatever challenges you're having right now, it doesn't matter. You are a fucking badass and you deserve an amazing, incredible life. And we're going to help you get there. So with that, enjoy today's show. Hello and welcome back to the show. And today is actually a special show because it is the very first show of the brand new year, 2024. So happy new year to you. I don't know about you, but me personally, I don't take too much or put too much weight on a new year rolling in. I try to be very present in everyday life, regardless if it's a Monday, regardless if it's a Saturday, regardless if it's a new year, it's a new month, whatever. Although I guess there is something that can be said for a new year rolling around because it does kind of trigger, for most people, it triggers this belief, this idea of reflection, of maybe newness, starting something fresh, starting over. But what we do not want to fall into the trap of, and what I really want to focus today's episode on is this going to be a new year, new you, or is it going to be the same shit, different day? And so the same shit, different day, that's a saying I used to hear all the time when I was growing up, not as a kid, but as a teenager and in my 20s. You'd ask people like, hey, man, how's it going? And be like, same shit, different day, which really meant that they had kind of fallen into this loop, this recurring theme of not much was going on in their life. Literally, it was the same shit, different day. They were living their life on repeat over and over and over again, nothing exciting happening. And we may come into this idea of a new year with excitement, with hope, of optimism, setting New Year's resolutions, setting goals and saying, this is going to be my year. But is it truly going to be a new year or, a new year full of opportunity, a new year full of growth, full of change? Or is it going to end up being the exact same year that you've lived over and over and over again for the last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years of your life? Don't allow yourself to fall into the trap of believing that just because it's a new year and just because you said, hey, this is going to be my year, that anything is going to change. And I share this from firsthand knowledge. I have gone into New Year's way too many times where I have set a financial goal or some other goal and said, you know what, this is going to be the year. I'm really going to make it happen. I'm going to push for it. I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen again because I've said year after year after year that this is going to happen. I'm going to have this new success level or something's going to happen in my life that I just have not been able to do in the past, but this is the fucking year. And year after year after year, I would fall back into that same exact habits, disciplines, routines, or lack thereof, and end up with the exact same result that I had ended up with in years prior. And so that's why I'm putting this out there. It's not because I'm so Mr. Perfect and I've always lived this perfect life of hitting my goals every year and always elevating my output or whatever. I've fucked this up so many times. And so I want to help you make sure that you don't, because as I go into 2024, I've got major goals and I know that I'm going to hit them this year. And the reason I know that I'm going to hit them this year where I haven't in maybe some other years is because I am committed to being an absolutely different person this year than I was last year or years prior, even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whenever it was that I was setting these different goals. I am absolutely committed to being a different person. I have a much higher awareness of what I'm doing on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. I track myself, and you can't see this in the audio version, but I'm holding up, one of my tracking sheets right here, the roadmap, which I can link to in the show notes. But this gives me a guideline every single day of what I'm doing. I'm going to review that at the end of every week. I've gotten in the habit of it already before the beginning of the year. So that way I'm not just going to jump to this new year thinking all these habits are going to change. I've already been building this momentum, this discipline into my daily routines to make sure that these guidelines are in place to make 2024 a different year than it has been in the past. So for you, as you're looking at this new year, as you're thinking about, okay, 2024 is going to be a different year for me, how many of the goals that you've set this year are goals that you've set in past years? And there's no judgment, because I just shared with you, I've done this over and over and over again, where I've set the same goals and not had a different result. And so if you've got some of those same goals, or even if they're not the same goals, let me ask you right here, right now, let me call you out. Let me put the gauntlet down and say, what are you going to do differently this year that's going to make that change in you? Because again, just saying that I want this to be a different year, or it's going to be a different year, or I'm quote unquote committed to it, is not going to get it done. You've got to change your habits, your disciplines, your routines, your way of thinking, your way of seeing the world, and your willingness to ask for help, your willingness to put yourself out there and do things that you haven't done in the past, and get more comfortable with being uncomfortable. So these are some of the things I've already started putting into place. I've already reached out to a couple of friends, a couple of close friends, and said, hey, listen, I've got this specific goal that is coming up this year. I am putting it out here to you right now. I want you to help hold me accountable. It's all still on me to make this goal happen. It's all still on me to take the actions. But what I'm doing is, instead of keeping my goals a secret, or even blasting them out to a generic world where I'm just saying it to 1,000 different people, I've got people that have a very strong meaning in my life that I've told this goal to. And I've asked them, hey, all I'm asking is every so often, let's either grab lunch, let's have a conversation. I just want to have somebody that I have to report back to, that I have to check in with, and share what my progress is, share what I'm doing to hit these goals. And now this is all stuff that happens with a coach as well. But sometimes you can, I won't say dance around a coach, but I mean, you can be not maybe as committed to a coach as you might be with one of your best friends, or people that have a very deep emotional connection to you. And so that's why I reached out to them. In addition to having coaches and people that are going to hold me accountable, I wanted people that are in my close emotional tied connection, inside that little bubble right there, because these are the people that I literally will see on a day-to-day basis, or talk to on a day-to-day basis, or have a much more direct contact with, or direct connection with, that it's a lot harder to hide from. So this might be something that you can implement. This might be something that you can add into your tool belt, is who do you have that you can have help hold you responsible? Who can you reach out to today? If you've got your goals set for the new year already, which, hopefully if you don't, you've got a plan in place to get these on paper, get them drawn out, because without a plan, nothing is going to happen. You have to have solid concrete goals, not things that are in your head. You got to have them on a piece of paper, or they're not fucking real. But who do you have that you can reach out to and say, hey, listen, this is a specific goal I have? And you can give them the full list if you need to, but maybe just narrow it down to a couple. Say, this is a goal I have. Can you at least check in with me from time to time? Or if you haven't heard from me, if I'm hiding out, say, hey, what's going on? I haven't heard from you in a while. But make sure that you've got somebody in your life that is keeping you from just pretending that you never set this goal. Because here's why that accountability factor is so important. If you just set these goals, you write them down on a piece of paper and you say, hey, these are my goals for the year. If you don't announce them to somebody, then it's going to be really, really easy for you to justify your actions or lack of action if things get quote unquote hard, if life starts getting in the way, things don't go the way that you thought they were going to, maybe you go back there and you start massaging the goal. Let's just toss out here, you have a goal. I know somebody specifically who shared with me that their goal this year is to hit $100,000 in their coaching business. Now, if this person hadn't shared that with me, it might be very easy for them as the year progresses to suddenly start saying, well, wait a minute, $100,000, that was pretty unrealistic for me, given where I'm at in my business. Maybe I should have just went with 75,000. So I'm going to be okay with 75,000. And then as the year gets a little further in and they're struggling a little bit and it's getting closer to the end of the year, they might start saying, well, you know what? I only made 40,000 in my coaching business last year. So if I make 60,000, then that'll be okay. That's not the fucking goal that they had. And it's not to say that getting from 40 to 60 or 75, would be bad in somebody's evolution and their growth in pushing themselves to get to that next level. But it's not the fucking goal that they had. And if their goal is $100,000 in their coaching business in that year, and it's getting up close to the end of the year, and they've allowed themselves to just start shrinking that goal, they're not going to push themselves. They're not going to challenge themselves. They're not going to see what they were truly capable of. If they have that $100,000 goal and they stick to it, then what's going to happen is they will, as the year gets closer to the end, they will have to do things that get them extremely uncomfortable. And I don't mean like weird, crazy, fucked up shit, but I just mean maybe they're going to have to reach out to people and have, sales conversations, or like reach out to somebody and say that maybe they wouldn't initially want to reach out to somebody in their DMs. They wouldn't want to call somebody, a potential client, that they didn't want to feel like they were bugging them or being too salesy or whatever. And maybe that's exactly what they need to grow themselves, to get to that next level in their business, to upgrade the output on their efforts. Because until we lock something into place, until we say, this is my fucking concrete goal, we allow ourselves too much wiggle room, especially if nobody else knows about it. Because again, we can really start changing that and give ourselves excuses. Well, I was going to do the $100,000, but then so-and-so got sick, and then I lost this client, and I'd expected this to happen, and then that didn't. So that I'm going to change this goal. No, you've got to lock yourself into it and at least challenge yourself to see if you can reach that. Now, again, if you get to the end of the year and you don't make that, but you make 60,000, 70,000, 80,000, you get above what you had done last year and you've made some progress, you've made some growth, celebrate that. Don't beat yourself up over it. You've made progress, you've made growth. And even if you go lower than what you were at before, if you're taking from these events, from these situations, lessons that you can apply going into the next year or the next quarter or the next month or the next week or whatever measurement, mile marker you're using, it's all still positive. It's all still good. We're not in a situation where we have to lock in specifically and only on the numbers. There's so much value that comes from the things that we do, because it makes us a better person. It makes us a smarter person, or it can, if we're willing to not judge ourselves for maybe the lack of production or the lack of results that we were hoping to get. We're willing not to judge ourselves for that and just look at, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I become better at what I'm trying to do because of this? Because all of this ends up going into us. That education never goes the fuck away. So there may not be the dollar value in your bank account that you were hoping for, but the dollar amount in your mental bank account is absolutely there. The dollar amount in your soul, in your spirit, in your drive has increased. So don't let yourself judge yourself over things not turning out exactly like you thought they were going to. Do your best. Try to get to that next level. Try to increase all of these things and hit those goals, but don't allow yourself to just beat yourself up over things that on some level you have zero control over. At the end of the day, you have no control over what other people do. You can put out as much effort as you possibly can and try and do that in a happy way, in a fun way, in a joyous way where you're truly loving what you're doing. But from that point, you just have to let it go and see what results come back, and you will eventually get something back. that is of worthwhile value. But circling back, what are you going to do differently this year? What are the things that are going to make you different than you were last year? Is it finding accountability? Is it implementing a new daily routine? Is it using a tracking sheet like the roadmap, which I said I'll link to in the show notes? Are you going to be using something like that to help you see from day to day what you are doing and how you are progressing, how you are growing? This is a perfect opportunity for me to go ahead and do a, self-promotion here. I've got programs, I've got programs that I'm running here in 2024. This is a big part of my shift, is offering different opportunities for me to work with you. Specifically, the one thing I want to share with you right here, right now, is a new program that I'm going to be launching. Well, I have launched it, announced it by the time this episode comes out. It's called Amplify. And what it is, it's cranking up the volume on your inner rock star and silencing the critic. It's allowing you to tune out that little fucking voice inside of your head that keeps you from believing, that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you are deserving. It's that little voice that's stopping you from becoming the best version of yourself that you can possibly be, and getting the finances, getting the relationships, losing the weight. Whatever your goals happen to be this year, you've got the potential to do it. I know that because you're a fucking human being. I know every human being has that potential if they can just get the fuck out of their own way. If they can find that true, authentic expression of their soul that's inside them, that's just been covered up by a lot of bullshit stories that you've told yourself after years and years and years of things happening to you that didn't align with your vision of what you thought was going to happen, didn't align with your vision of what you had hoped would happen, or didn't align with your vision of how you thought the world should play, into your favor. We've created meanings around these events, and these are what pops up every single time we try and step into that new version of ourselves. Again, whether that's, you're trying to lose weight and you're saying, oh, well, I've tried this happened, and because of this, now I can't do that. My parents were big, or my parents were big. We're big boned, all this bullshit. If you're looking at it from a financial standpoint, well, my parents weren't rich. I came from a small town. I didn't have anybody in my family that earned any money. Nobody ever taught me about money principles and, the energy behind money. All these excuses, start piling up in our brains because that little voice is louder. That critic is louder than your inner fucking rock star. And we're going to change that this year. If you need help, that's what I'm here for. So reach out to me, DM me the word Amplify, and I will give you the application, because this will be a very small, limited number of people, but you are absolutely worthy. And whether I have you join me or not, it may just not be the right time for you, but I want you to reach out to me and let's have a conversation. Let me send you the application and find out your story, find out where you're at, make sure that this is something that you're ready for right here, right now, and make sure that I'm the best person to help you. And if I'm not, then I will maybe point you in the direction of something else that will help you get to where you need to be this year. But let's make this a year to fucking remember, and in an amazing, incredible, epic way, because you deserve it. You deserve to have 2024 be that fucking year that you look back on like, holy fuck, man, that was an amazing fucking year. That set me up for so many incredible things. That was the year that my life truly changed for the better. And I cannot be more thankful, for everything that happened that year. That's what I want for you in 2024. So again, send me a DM with the word Amplify in it, or check the show notes. I'm going to link up the application in there. But let's make that happen for you. And let's make this an incredible year. Until then, my friend, get out there. Have an amazing fucking day, and I'll see you next time. If you found value in this episode, please share it with your friends. Give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and anywhere else that you happen to hear it. We are just trying to celebrate life, make it better for everyone, and sharing these messages with them just helps them believe in themselves and what can be better than that.